T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
1, 0. Booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way for future missions beyond. Roll for Voyager found that Saturn's magnetic field, as Pioneer 11 had already told us, is weaker. That is, it's only about 1/20th the strength of Jupiter's magnetic field. That means its magnetic field doesn't extend as far from the planet, about 1 million miles from the planet. What Voyager discovered was how rapidly that magnetic field was rotating. The magnetic field at Jupiter rotates with a period just under 10 hours. At Saturn, it turns out, the magnetic field rotates with a period of about 10 hours and 40 minutes. So this was the first measure of the length of the day on Saturn.
Turns out, when we finally measured the magnetic field and the radio emissions that are tied to the magnetic field, that the inside of Saturn is moving quite slowly. Well, it's moving more slowly than most of the storms in the atmosphere. And the difference in those speeds translates to 500 meters per second for the winds, which is over 1,000 miles an hour. And that made Saturn a lot windier planet than Jupiter. And that was the big surprise for me when Voyager got there.
Not only did we find many, many concentric features within the rings, but we found eccentric rings. We found that the F ring, which had been discovered by Pioneer, had braids in it and kinks and clumps, all these things no one had ever even dreamed about before Voyager got to Saturn. And then, of course, there were the spokes that Voyager discovered about a month or a month and a half before encounter. And these are these radial features in the B ring that come and go. They are seen orbiting around the rings, and no one had a clue, or at least not a reasonable clue in the beginning as to what caused these features or even what they were. That if you look at the rings of Saturn for a period of time and watch the spokes go around and round, and you examine the appearance of the spokes on the rings, that appearance changes, and it changes with a period that is equal to the period of the spin of Saturn.
Saya ingin menyampaikan sekedar pesan singkat melalui satelit Voyager ini. Au-dessus des étangs, au-dessus des vallées, des montagnes, des
I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet.
The landmass, more or less in the shape of a question mark in the center.
در کنیته استفاده صلحجویانه از فضای ماورای جو افتخار دارد.
And it is with humility and hope that we take this step.
I wish to extend greetings and friendly wishes to all who may encounter this Voyager and receive
Todo su mensaje de paz y felicidad. Que el futuro se Vår tanke svindlade föreställde sig att den sig lyfte högt från jorden omkring. från tid och rum. En rikedom av solar finnes där. Var sol pulserar där med allt dess lag. I större solars oerhörda sken. Och allt är klarhet där och dagars dag.
Voyager 1 has left the bubble around the sun and entered interstellar space, the space between stars.
It's amazing that Voyager has operated 36 years. Launched in 1977, traveled past the gas giant planets, and now off into interstellar space. A radio telescope took a radio image of the Voyager 1 spacecraft, slightly over 11 billion miles from the Earth. And it's a very small radio dot amongst a sea of darkness.